On November 24, 2025, Zimbabwe witnessed a historic military transition as General Philip Valerio Sibanda officially handed over command of the Zimbabwe Defence Forces, ZDF, to General Emmanuel Matatu at Charles Gumbo Barracks. The event was presided over by President Emerson Mnangagwa, who serves as Commander-in-Chief, and attended by senior military officials and political leaders. While such ceremonies are typically solemn and procedural, this one became a lightning rod for political speculation after Vice President Constantino Chiwenga appeared in full military regalia, a striking departure from his usual civilian attire. Chiwenga's uniform, adorned with medals and ceremonial cords, evoked his past as ZDF commander and architect of the 2017 coup that ousted Robert Mugabe. Analysts argue that this was more than a nostalgic gesture. It was a calculated signal of enduring influence within Zimbabwe's security establishment. The timing was significant. The ceremony coincided with the anniversary of Mnangagwa's rise to power, amplifying the symbolism of Chiwenga's remilitarization amid growing factional tensions in ZANU-PF. Chiwenga's decision to don military fatigues after 8 years of civilian leadership raised eyebrows across Zimbabwe's political spectrum. For Mnangagwa's faction, the move appeared provocative, especially given the delicate succession dynamics within ZANU-PF. Presidential spokesman George Charamba attempted to downplay the controversy, insisting that retired generals traditionally wear uniforms during top-level handovers as a mark of respect. However, critics argue that the optics were impossible to ignore. Chiwenga stood front and center, projecting authority at a time when Mnangagwa is consolidating control over the armed forces. This comes after Mnangagwa's strategic reshuffle, which elevated Matatu and Lieutenant General Asher Walter Tapfumanei, both considered loyalists, to key military posts. Against this backdrop, Chiwenga's uniform was interpreted as a reminder of his military credentials and a subtle warning that he remains a formidable player. The gesture also reignited debate about the military's role in governance and whether Zimbabwe's politics is sliding back toward overt militarization. General Emmanuel Matatu's elevation to ZDF commander marks a pivotal moment in Zimbabwe's security and political landscape. At 72, Matatu is well beyond the statutory retirement age, suggesting his appointment is a short-term stabilizing measure rather than a long-term leadership solution. Analysts believe Mnangagwa deliberately chose an older general to prevent the accumulation of unchecked power, a mistake Robert Mugabe made with Chiwenga, whose extended tenure enabled him to orchestrate the 2017 coup. Matatu's rise follows his brief stint as Zimbabwe National Army commander, a role he assumed after the removal of Anselm Sanyatwe, a Chiwenga ally. His loyalty to Mnangagwa is unquestioned, and his acceptance speech emphasized professionalism, modernization, and continuity. However, critics argue that Matatu's appointment is deeply political, designed to weaken Chiwenga's influence and cement Mnangagwa's grip on the military ahead of the 2028 elections and his rumored 2030 project to extend power beyond constitutional limits. General Valerio Sibanda leaves behind a legacy of discipline, professionalism, and stability. Since taking over from Chiwenga in 2017, Sibanda maintained a relatively low profile, steering the military away from overt political interference while preserving its institutional integrity. His retirement, however, is far from the end of his public life. Speculation is rife that Mnangagwa plans to appoint Sibanda as defense minister or even elevate him to the vice presidency, replacing Kembo Mohadi. Such a move would serve multiple purposes: reward Sibanda for his loyalty, neutralize Chiwenga's military leverage, and reinforce Mnangagwa's succession strategy. Sibanda's Zipra background also positions him as a unifying figure under the 1987 Unity Accord, which could help Mnangagwa manage ethnic and factional tensions. Whether Sibanda accepts a political role remains to be seen, but his transition underscores the blurred lines between Zimbabwe's military and political spheres, a dynamic that continues to shape the country's governance. The reshuffle within the ZDF is widely viewed as part of Mnangagwa's broader plan to consolidate power and sideline Chiwenga. Since 2017, Mnangagwa has systematically dismantled Chiwenga's military network, retiring loyalists, reassigning intelligence operatives, and promoting figures aligned with his inner circle. The elevation of Tapumaneyi, a former CIO deputy and co-founder of Forever Associates Zimbabwe, FRZ, to army chief is particularly telling. Tapumaneyi's deep ties to Mnangagwa's political machinery signal a fusion of military and intelligence power under presidential control. Analysts warn that these moves are not merely administrative. They are designed to coup-proof Mnangagwa's presidency and secure his rumored bid to extend rule beyond 2028. Meanwhile, factional tensions within ZANU-PF are intensifying, with Chiwenga reportedly exploring options to reclaim influence. Whether this power struggle culminates in open confrontation or a negotiated settlement remains uncertain, but the stakes could not be higher for Zimbabwe's political future. The trouble for General Matatu. While Matatu's appointment appears to strengthen Mnangagwa's hand, it also places him in a precarious position. Sources suggest that Chiwenga's camp views Matatu as complicit in Mnangagwa's strategy to marginalize the vice president, making him a potential target in the factional chess game. Furthermore, Matatu's advanced age and limited tenure could expose vulnerabilities in the military command structure, especially if succession disputes escalate. His reliance on Mnangagwa's patronage means any shift in political fortunes could leave him isolated. There are also whispers of discontent among officers who perceive the reshuffle as overly politicized, undermining meritocracy within the ranks. If instability spreads, Matatu may find himself caught between loyalty to Mnangagwa and pressure from disgruntled factions, a dilemma that could test his leadership and the cohesion of the ZDF. The events surrounding Sibanda's retirement and Chiwenga's dramatic reappearance in uniform underscore the enduring entanglement of military and political power in Zimbabwe. Far from being a routine leadership transition, the ceremony has exposed deep fissures within ZANU-PF and raised questions about the country's stability ahead of the 2028 elections. Mnangagwa's maneuvers suggest a determination to neutralize rivals and entrench his authority, even as whispers of constitutional amendments and succession plots circulate. For Chiwenga, the challenge is existential. Stripped of key military allies, his path to the presidency now hinges on political strategy rather than brute force. Meanwhile, the opposition and civil society watch warily, fearing that escalating factionalism could trigger authoritarian clampdowns or even military intervention. As Zimbabwe navigates this volatile terrain, one thing is clear: the battle for supremacy within the ruling elite is far from over, and its outcome will shape the nation's trajectory for years to come. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.